All right, Scavengers, welcome to the Six Scale Scavengers podcast, talking about Marvel and Star Wars hot toys. I'm your host, Bryan Fontaine. I'm joined, as always, with my good friends, TC and Chris Letty. Guys, another episode. It's always fun to do these. You and I, you guys, we chat daily, like as we've talked with our listeners before. Mostly all about hot toys. There's other stuff we could be talking about, like life and whatnot, but it's mostly centered around hot toy collecting and being everybody being a shrink for each other on what we should and shouldn't do. what would the podcast do? WWPD. I guess that's what we'll go with for now. So, guys, exciting time. I know we've got some Star Wars trailers recently. The episode 9 trailer dropped. Chris, you and I did a live reaction that was probably not that good in our Facebook group. And I know we got the trailer for The Mandalorian a night or two ago. So, I mean, it's definitely Star Wars time and we're loving it. Here we are on the eve of Halloween. Halloween's tomorrow night, Chris, and just the way that our podcast episodes fell this time, we didn't really get a chance to overhype Spooktacular with Sideshow, Chris, but I kind of feel like we were talking with our admin team earlier today, and I feel like we've all been just kind of about it this year. And it's just kind of, instead of last year where you and I way overhyped it and it kind of disappointed, I think the fact that we just kind of let it happen and we've just been collecting the reward points, just making it rain.
That's right. They keep coming, man. It's a different story than last year. And, I'll take it. And, I mean, I've been on top of it. I have missed a few here and there, but, man, I got a decent chunk. And I think a lot of our listeners and members of our group have as well. Having the Tashi code group, Facebook Messenger group really helps, and copying and pasting and dropping it right into that rewards as fast as possible.
Yeah, I mean, let's just give a shout out to John Martino, Dan, the rest of the admins out there. I know that TC, I'm one of Zach from Collecting Weekly's biggest fans when it comes to memeing when people get kicked out of the chat, and he's had some really good ones, but it's funny because TC, I'm going to put you on the spot here, but at the very beginning of Spooktacular, you're like, guys, when it gets time to episode 33, I'm going to get on my soapbox, and you had some airing of grievances you wanted to do, but in the meantime, I think it's worked out pretty good.
No, I was going to rant the day after the podcast. I said I was going to rant. I was not happy with the prospects of Spooktacular, but as all I can do is, giving a round of applause to Sideshow because it's been really fun this year. It's been pretty lucrative, and they've had some great deals, great sales, and the rewards points have been really nice.
Yeah, we'll talk a little. We'll save some of the fun stuff for the collection update that we'll do shortly here in a little bit. We don't want to spill the beans all right up front. We've got a really good show, as everybody that can see on YouTube right now, where our feature figure review is going to be Hot Toys Bucky Barnes from Avengers Infinity War, MMS 509. A lot of us just got that recently. It's shipping out. We all have it in hand. We'll be able to review that. Looking forward to getting everybody's thoughts. And let's see what else. We're going to cover news. We have a couple news items. We're going to go over our collection update like we normally do. And we thought we'd try something a little bit different with our topic of the episode and just kind of do a little bit of an open mic and just see, if any of you guys that are tuning in live have any questions, anything you'd like us to talk about, we can just briefly, just kind of rapid fire topics. If we don't get anything, we have a couple things that the three of us could just chat about really easily. It's really easy to talk about collecting. It's super fun to be able to do it with people that know and appreciate it, and you don't have to explain yourself to why you do certain things. I mean, none of us have those type of people in our day-to-day lives. We're able to do it in person. I mean, Chris, you and I are in the same state, but we live an hour away. So
Yeah.
this is this is even our way to stay connected. I know, I'm sure there's people that would kill to have another collector within an hour drive of them, but it's some good stuff. So I don't know, guy Chris. I don't want to really rehash this Rise of Skywalker trailer because we kind of really covered. We didn't really learn a whole lot.
No,
but the three of us, haven't really chatted about the Mandalorian trailer, Chris. And I know you're more of the the vintage Star Wars collector out of the three of us. And I mean, just seeing people break this trailer down, there's a whole bunch of like hidden goodies in this thing.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's crazy when you start breaking it down frame by frame. A couple of podcasts I listen to have done so, and man, Favreau, Filoni, Lucasfilm has. I mean, they are dropping nuggets left and right. There's prequel era stuff in there, which is really cool. I mean, that's we haven't gotten a lot of prequel nods in the sequel trilogy. So that's, a lot of people looking for that. And I think we're going to see that in The Mandalorian, at least giving us a taste. I mean, there was so much stuff from that era that could be left over in the universe, in the galaxy, that could be repurposed and that sort of thing. And lots of species of aliens that we saw in the original trilogy. I have a feeling we're going to get some special appearances by maybe some characters that had been in the original trilogy. So we'll see. I'm just, gosh, it's only, 13, 14 days away from now. And I just got to figure out how I'm going to play it.
That's the spirit. TC, anything that you saw from the trailer you got you excited?
Just, I don't know, just the overall vibe. It's a lot different than what the episode 9 gives off. It seems much more intense, and I kind of like that side of it. I don't have a huge knowledge of Star Wars as much as I do the MCU, but it looks exciting. It looks really interesting, and I'm just kind of amped. I'm just waiting as well, just as everybody else. And I'm ready for Disney Plus. I'm ready to watch all those new episodes.
I mean, I'm really contemplating, guys, just taking November 12th off. Just take the day off from work.
Is it going to debut in the morning, or is it like a prime time event? Does anybody know?
You know what? I don't know. I'm just super amped about like all the other stuff that's dropping too. I mean, those of us that grew up in the 90s, getting a chance to binge X-Men the animated series, that for some reason that's like the thing that I want to do the most. But obviously watching the Mandalorian's right up there too.
Yeah, it might be 12 midnight or 12 a.m. November 12th. I'm signed up for it and everything. I don't even know. But
yeah, I know our friends in the Netherlands, Roy, Michael, I know they've been the test country, so they've given it glowing reviews, and even what's out there, really looking forward to seeing what else we get.
I don't know what carrier you guys have for your cell phone service, but have you seen the messages about Verizon covering the first year of Disney Plus?
I've heard it's part of a package deal, potentially.
I don't know if you have to be a new customer. I have to give them a call. But if you have an unlimited plan, or if you're going to have an unlimited plan, so unlimited data, they will cover your first year of Disney Plus for free, and then after that, it's $7 a month. So if you don't have it yet, it's something to look into.
Yeah, they're going with like the gym membership model. They want it to be so cheap that you'll never cancel it. Mm-hmm. You don't use it, you won't feel guilty. I mean, at the high end, it's going to be like $7. I know there's a few of us. I think Matt was one of the ones that found, the code through the D23 when that was going on. I want to say I had to pay for mine in advance, but I think I got it for like $141 for 3 years. Yeah. So it's going to be like less than like $4 per month when you average it out. I mean, they're definitely going for the jugular with everybody else. The streaming wars have begun, as we've been talking to our good buddy Sean.
Streaming wars have begun, and I am likely going to give Netflix the axe. I don't I don't use it as much anymore. I use Amazon, and I'm going to use Disney Plus and Hulu. Those are going to be my 3.
So we've got Joe out in the chat saying he got the impression to be midnight, and then he's looking forward to it. He's got the night off, and our one of our other fearless leaders, Steve, saying it came out to $382 per month. So definitely breaking it down to the finite detail. Before we get into news, guys, we've got quite a few figures to talk about. We still have to give away this Guardians of the Galaxy digital code. And I guess I'm a little disappointed that I've been trying for 2 episodes now, and people just can't even reach out to me at all. It's pretty simple. So I've already drawn another winner. So Elvis, if you have not left the building, reach out to me in our Facebook group, and I will hook you up with that code. So it's my code. I want to give it away to somebody that's tuning in. So Elvis, if you're listening or you catch this later, reach out to me. I want to get you that code. So guys, talk about news, and we're going to kind of jump around a little bit, but I want to start with the War Machine. We're all War Machine fans here at the Scavengers podcast. And as much as I love War Machine, guys, and I love the color orange, this looks pretty slick. I can't pull the trigger on this thing. MMS 553, diecast 35, retailing for $407. I didn't grab the date when this is going to drop, but I think it's sometime next year. And I don't know. What are you guys thinking about this? We got a couple of the images for everybody kind of tuning in live on, and we actually have some pictures from Jank and Wong figure collecting for dummy. He was gracious enough to let us share some of the photos that are there as well.
TC, you go for it.
Here's the thing. I don't have the War Machine Mark 1 diecast. So to buy this version, it would not fill that void of me wanting the Mark 1. It doesn't substitute for the Mark 1. I feel if I had the Mark 1 diecast, it'd be a little bit different. It'd be kind of a good
yeah, if you had this trio on the screen
good well, and then if you had the regular versions of that trio, because all I would think about is if I spent the money on that, then I would be foregoing something else on the original trio. So I'd have to have the original trio first. But on a second note, I do like the release, though, because it's these kind of releases that allow Hot Toys to take the risks in other figures, because they already have all the molds made. It's just basically it's a repaint. So it's going to come out good. You know that they're going to do well, and it's going to be a profitable figure. So this is the type of stuff that allows them to take the risks, like releasing the DC Flash that they just put up for pre-order. So I like it. What about you, Chris?
So Chris, this is one of the images from Jank, and this was taken at Secret Base. So obviously, you go from this where it's extremely well lit and you go back, and here's the stylized version. So this is what you're gonna get. It's more, to me, looks more gunmetal than black, and the orange does look pretty good. Again, quick shout out to John Martino with Tashi Station. Jankin also had to get the crotch shot here, so
of course. Yeah, it's interesting to see it in the natural light, because you see the promo image. It looks like it's like a shiny black. I mean, it's hard to see the gunmetal. I mean, you can see it a little bit here and there, but it looks a lot more shiny. But I mean, it's a cool looking figure. It's for anybody into the War Machines, the heavy, beefy armor. I mean, it would be, if you've got the other two, it would be a nice trio. But
I think they're going to keep going with this line. Yeah. I don't think it's stopping anytime soon. I have a feeling they're going to continue doing it, because it's
Mark
a way
5 next.
Mark 5 and the Mark 7, just as the years go by. I guess it's a way for Hot Toys to, continue generating profit while keeping the value in the collector's pockets as well that have the originals, and that's what I like about it the most.
Yeah, I mean they've done that throughout the years, doing like like stealth version and Midas version, and the different, the full color exclusive suits. So it's not surprising that they would do something like this. It's just a way for them to to capitalize on those molds and everything, and just give the consumer something different visually, but not really my thing. Yeah, but I know a lot of people are excited about it.
So I know one figure that we're all excited about here, TC, is the Mark 7, and man, you've been gushing about this thing behind the scenes, so I'm eager to get your thoughts. This was the much anticipated MMS 500, that milestone figure release. That, if you look back at a lot of the key numbers, they've all been Iron Man figures. I believe the 400 was the Mark 5, and it's not really surprising. And you go back, and I want to say the age
was the 45.
Yeah, I was going to say 300 was the 45. So they kind of not necessarily reserve those numbers for Iron Man and the Mark diecast armors that they've got here. But man, this thing was released in Hong Kong. We know that the price on this was going to be steep, but man, this looks better than I was expecting. TC, I know you're a pretty big fan of this too.
Yeah, I am. I think this looks absolutely amazing. Like, I knew Hot Toys was going to put everything they had into this figure. MMS 500. It's a milestone figure. It's the Mark 7. It's arguably the most iconic suit in the entire MCU. You could say the 85. You could say maybe the 50, but really the 7, it has its roots obviously in Avengers, the first movie. This one comes packed out. It comes out with all the battle damage pieces, all the heavy artillery add-ons. You can transform it if you so choose. It's really just a special figure. I'm glad Hot Toys went all out on it. And really, if you're on the fence, if you don't have an Iron Man figure but you want to get one, this is the one to get. You can make an argument for the 85 battle damage, but really, this one is really the pinnacle of what Hot Toys has made so far. And you can always make a decision down the line in a few years if you want the other one. But this is the figure to have.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at some of these images we've got up on YouTube right now, I mean, the one I've got here looks like a movie still. This is the figure, the battle damage. And if you look at just all the intricate detail on this, I don't think they spared any of the engineering on this one whatsoever. The thing is, too, is we'll show, TC, you were able to find from Justin's collection, you were able to find some side-by-sides with this figure versus each of the prior Marks. And obviously the Mark 1 is not a die-cast, and it looks like it's dwarfed by this thing. This thing is a beast.
I know.
I mean, obviously this is recreating the scene of throwing the rocket up. This is, coming into the armor here. I can't get over the level of detail. Here's the the iconic shot with the Avengers 1 cap, with the shield blast. This is what you were talking about, TC, with activating the armor as he jumps off Stark Tower there. Interested to see how that goes. I don't see myself posing it, and it's funny. I guess I completely misinterpreted when this prototype was out, because I thought we'd get this as like a miniature version. I didn't actually think the figure was actually going to be like a friggin' Transformer.
I made the same mistake, honestly. I thought it was like just a mini version that you could have on display also. That whole transforming thing, it's just bringing Hot Toys to a different level. I mean, there's not too many opportunities or characters that you can do that with, but it's a cool feature and stuff. And I know the toy photographers and the like. It just makes for many options. This
might be the most photogenic Iron Man suit.
Yeah, I mean, look at that on the screen. We're showing a picture of the Iron Man figure doing his basically
repulsor blast. Yeah,
repulsor blast fight mode. Where the face mask meets the helmet, that that little bridge thing, the red piece that's jetting out is dead on perfect. They made it it's perfectly. It's not rounded off at all. It's all squared. And I know a lot of collectors, they get angry when Hot Toys will show a prototype and it's not quite right. So I know that part's very important, and it looks. They didn't make any sacrifices, it seems, with the suit pod mode. Like, I don't see anything that's wrong with this figure when it's not in suit pod mode, to where you would say, oh, they shouldn't have made it. They shouldn't have made that feature because you're having to sacrifice something. It doesn't look like they sacrifice anything. This is incredible.
And you see the detail of the missiles that come out of the thighs, so you can have that look and not. So these are the screenshots, and it was funny because I don't know if we necessarily want to delve into this in the collection update, but it's funny how the three of us get chatting throughout the day, and the wheels get kind of turning a little bit, and how some things might change, and we've got maybe a different kind of collection update to share next episode in 34. But here's the Mark 1. I think this is the 2.0 figure against the Mark 7. I've never seen the Mark 1 in person. I just always expect him to be like either on stilts or a little bit taller. Like even in the film, you get the sense that he's very imposing, whereas like he's pretty short here.
Yeah,
and this is just my little, sorry TC to cut you off, but like I'm seeing this now and I'm always like, oh, well, I want to get 1 through 7, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to display this number 1 next to all the other ones, especially like 4 through 7. I'm just like, maybe I'm gonna change my mind.
It looks it's definitely a short one. I just want to say before we even go any further, these pictures that we're showing on the screen are from Justin's collection video, his review comparison video. So I gave a couple screenshots to Bryan and we're showing them. So I appreciate that review video from Justin. But yeah, it's
so against the Mark II, this is the one that came out fairly recently. This was the Mark II was obviously the repaint of the original, Mark III, which was one of the earliest die casts that they did. Obviously doesn't have the stature that some of the other ones do. If you line them all up in a row, these are going to be shorter. So we've already got the Mark I and the Mark II far shorter than the Mark VII. Chris, you were joking that obviously Tony Stark had a late career growth spurt, or he's on stilts in his Iron Man suit.
Right.
So, this is the look. I mean, again, here's against the very iconic Mark III, but sorely in need of an upgrade with, the suit. I don't think they're going to redo it. I don't think we're going to see a 2.0 version of the Mark III. I'd love to see them try, because they've gotten so much better at engineering Iron Man figures, but I just don't see it happening. There's so many other things that they could do. This is where it gets interesting, TC. And now this is comparing the Mark 7 to the Mark 4 on screen. Obviously, the height's very similar. So if you already have the Mark 4, you know what the 7 is going to look like. Obviously, the 7 is made for war. I mean, this thing it looks like a tank. I mean, this was able to fight all the Chitauri in New York and has just oodles and oodles of weapons. So seeing that against the 4, Justin was able to find it next to the Mark V, which is a personal favorite of this podcast. And, the height's very much there. Similarly, this Chris is obviously the suitcase armor that he had in Monaco and Iron Man 2. Not many bells and whistles. I think he only had the repulsor hand blasts that he had on that armor. It wasn't weaponized in any other way. Again, we've got the Mark VI, and this is, again, another one of the ones that I hold in very high regard, and very similar, but you can still see where the 7's got this one beat too. So, TC, you put it very eloquently earlier. It's like, if you want one Iron Man figure, maybe it's the Mark L, as the chat was asking for. Maybe it's the Mark 85 battle damage. But if you kind of wanted a phase 1 armor and you could only pick one, and especially not chasing retail prices, the 4's a little bit more than retail now. The 5 is like incredibly, it's like right up there with the 47 right now. The 6 is right up there. You're looking in like the 7-8 range. You can get a really good figure that might be better than all of them for $433. Don't
Yeah.
sleep on this.
Go for
Don't
it.
sleep on. Yeah,
Seriously,
don't sleep
go
on
for
this
it.
one.
Don't sleep on it. I would say the 5 would be up there if you wanted one as well. But like Brian said, the 5, I mean, you're looking at $1,000. I mean,
Right. And it's only in one scene.
I know.
You
I
know?
This is the 7's much more encompassing of the entire MCU first phase. So
I mean, the 47 shows up very briefly in Spider-Man: Homecoming in 2 separate occasions, and Tony Stark isn't even in the suit in the first part of it. So, for me, it's just the contrast. Very much the Marvel comics, the Unlimited series they did. It's more on that version is where they drew the inspiration for that. But I mean, you really can't go wrong, and obviously just throwing this one out there too, Justin compared it to the Mark L. And the heights there, obviously the 7 is far bulkier, but I mean, I personally can't wait for this one to get in hand.
Yeah, I'm making moves to make sure everything's all set. I have it on one-time payment, so as soon as that Sideshow gets that figure, I'm getting it. I got to figure out when I pre-ordered. It wasn't a day one pre-order, I don't think, but yeah, I'm excited for this figure, and TC, you're just amping me up even more.
yeah. This I have 2 on order. I got one from Sideshow, but I put $133 of rewards on the figure, so it's costing still $300, and I paid the deposit, so $257.
Yeah.
And then another one, I'm actually going through Steven's Collectibles and More out in Texas. I pre-ordered one through him. He helps Collecting Weekly out over there, and I kind of want to support the business where I can. But especially with this figure, it's my first one I'm going to buy from him, and I'm looking forward to it. I've got 1 payment left on that.
Very cool. So, Are you going to display 1 battle damage, 1 not? I mean, don't go for 3. This isn't the SNL skit.
No,
one to open, 1 to display, and 1 for just in case.
No, I need some credibility, so I just got to stop at 2. But I think I'm just gonna have 1 in just regular, just the clean version, and then the other one kind of not in battle damage, but in the armored up mode.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Before we get to talking about R2D2 here, I just wanted to throw up on the screen. Kanji Club was saying that he thinks that a lot of the earlier Hot Toys seem to scale smaller than the later ones. And I mean, if you look at them, a lot of the older Captain America figures and stuff, they're not really any comparison. So
same with the Thors too.
Yeah.
It's almost like when they constructed the Iron Man figures, the newer ones, the added articulation and with the knee joints and whatnot, the double jointed knees and the extended hip joints, that kind of added to the height a little bit. And it seems like they never looked back. And there's, like you guys said, the older ones they're just smaller.
So Derek's speculating too that because a lot of these are from Iron Man 2, the Neon Tech, you wouldn't be surprised to see the 5 be the repaint for Neon Tech 5. And, to get the engineering on the 5 is just incredible. Obviously, you'd want it to look like it is on screen, but, to reproduce that and probably spend a third of what the market is for that Mark 5 on the open market right now, secondary market, because it's long sold out on Sideshow. That's probably probably a good call. So let's get to talking about the R2D2 figure. And this is a figure that I originally had on pre-order, and I'm back. I'm back with Star Wars now, but back again, story of my life, making wrong decisions and having all our listeners benefit from that and learn from my mistakes. Man. But this one released too, and it looks like all the accessories. It looks like a Swiss Army knife. It's meant to be. This is my favorite look with getting ready to shoot the lightsaber to Luke on Jabba's sail barge. I'm probably gonna display it that way when I get it, but you can. It spans the saga. I know we got the TC. I know we got the not Mark. I'm talking about Iron Man. We got I was thinking episode 7, equating that to Mark 7. I just got Mark 7 on the brain here. But this one kind of spans the saga, and like the TFA one was very rusted up and came very limited on accessories. This one costs more than that one, but you get a ton of stuff. I want to see if I had a shot that showed. All right, I didn't find that one, but here's a tease of C3PO from Empire Strikes Back. Fighting with Yoda with the lamp. On Dagobah from A New Hope with the Leia hologram. Obviously, we're seeing him in Return of the Jedi. Here he is in The Last Jedi with the Millennium Falcon with Luke. And here we go. We got our buddy Link the Jedi said he just unboxed R2D2. It is the ultimate R2. So, and Mario's chiming in too, saying agreed. So many options with this R2. So guys, what are you thinking? I know I said I've got this on pre-order. I can't recall what you guys have.
Well, we might get.
Sorry, I don't want to spill the beans, anyways. But and here's the look with the antenna from Empire Strikes Back on Hoth. So it just looks great.
Yeah, this one's very versatile. Yeah, to me, that's the main draw of it. Is the versatility. You can use it for a lot of different displays, like you said, Bryan.
And Derek's chiming in on the chat right now, saying it didn't have the rocket thruster, so it's not necessarily from the prequel trilogy on Geonosis, and then obviously on General Grievous's Star Destroyer there. But yeah,
it gives them an excuse to make another one down the line. So I love R2. I mean, I think most Star Wars fans do, and it's just great. I think again, like TC with the Mark 7, it's one that I can see people buying multiples of for multiple scenes and stuff. He is a bit pricey compared to some of the other releases, but I think, I think it's a great looking figure, and he'll, possibly be my ultimate R2.
I think the good thing with this one though is it's likely not going to sell out immediately. So
yeah,
if you're on the fence, or you want to, with the influx of figures coming, you can kind of wait on this one. I think, even though it's amazing, it seems like it's going to be available for a little bit longer.
Yeah,
and a lot of people in the chat, TC, are agreeing with that sentiment. I mean, there's Kanji Club saying he's pretty happy with the Sideshow R2. If you've got the TFA one, you're probably not going to jump out and grab that one. So
that's the problem with R2.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not like you can make them like once they made the Force Awakens version. It's not like the improvements could be that drastic to where like you feel like you have to jump on this one immediately. So
I did temporarily have the Force Awakens one, and although I thought it held up well, I thought it was just a little over rusted. It's very much, you couldn't have really used it for anything with an original trilogy setup or anything. So, if you've got the Sideshow version, and I think Sideshow's actually coming out with another update to theirs. I saw they had a pre-order up. I don't know if it was releasing next year, but the big thing, I know Matt, one of our hosts of Rogue 16, and he's very anxiously making sure that we're not going to ruin his next show because we're talking some Star Wars here. But mentioning the the diecast domes. Don't worry, Matt. There's plenty of Star Wars to go around, buddy. All right, so that's the news. We didn't get anything to drop today, which thankfully I was happy about when I was putting all the content together for
tomorrow, though.
Yeah, tomorrow is inevitably what's today, October 31st. There's going to be a huge hot toy release that we're going to wish that we would have had the chance to talk about here on this podcast. So, all right, guys, let's move over to collection update before we get into talking about our open mic, and we'll give our listeners a chance to, bring up some topics they want us to talk about. And if nobody has anything, I'm sure we can come up with some stuff. So, Chris, we'll go with you first.
All right. So I have Eric Killmonger in hand. I did a little Mangum style unboxing on our Facebook group. I think it was last night. I don't know. I've lost track. But great figure in hand, man. I'm loving that figure. The embellishments, the gold embellishments with the suit do not detract from the aesthetic in person. And so if you're on the fence and you like that movie, you like that character, I wouldn't be concerned about picking that figure up. So it looks pretty good. I've got him right up there with his cousin fighting. You can barely see him. But yeah, so I got that. And then I also pre-ordered Endor Luke. And I pre-ordered Deluxe R2-D2 from Big Bad Toy Store. Because we know that those are probably, well, R2 has already been released in Hong Kong. And I think Endor Luke probably soon as well. And so I'm trying those out from BBTS. And then I sold some stuff to make room for Killmonger. I had decided, even though as much as I liked the figure and we praised it when we reviewed it, I decided to sell Advanced Suit Spidey. And a fellow New Englander bought it from me up in Lewiston, Maine. And I got to say, he probably had the best eBay feedback comment that I've ever received.
Do you remember what it was exactly?
Yeah,
it was epic.
I know. I had to show you guys. So he said, ships faster than the Ravens in season 7 of Game of Thrones. It's like so random, but I love it. I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan. So it was very fitting. But, Lewiston's only about an hour and a half away from us, from me anyway. So I'm not surprised he got it so fast. Anyway. And then I just minutes before the podcast started, I sold my Iron Man Mark III diecast to our fellow Scavengers Assemble host, Steve. He had been looking for one, and I was looking to move on to make some room in the collecting budget. And then poor little baby Luke from Deluxe Obi-Wan got shipped off. And because originally I was only going to get the regular version, and I think I talked about it a couple episodes ago. The deal to get the deluxe it worked out, better that way. And I think I'm not going to part out any more figures because I realized,
yeah,
Bryan will touch on this too. When you try to sell a figure that is missing major components, it really detracts from the value.
Yeah.
And figures that you might think that you're going to keep,
you never know.
You never know.
Things change. It's kind of funny. I'm glad you sold it on eBay, Chris, because I think if you tried to sell a baby like through Facebook Marketplace, I'm sure that they probably wouldn't have allowed that listing to go. And even on eBay, I'm pretty surprised that it said swaddled baby Luke Skywalker. I mean, how do they know it's actually a toy and not a real baby? But...
I know, right? Jeez. But anyway, so yeah, those were couple of my things going on. I'm kind of winding down. I'm really prepping for Mark 7 and some of these other figures that are coming down the pipeline. So I probably won't have any crazy collection updates in the near future, but let's, we'll see what gets released. So who's next? Who's on deck?
TC. So before we throw it over to TC, I just want to give a quick shout out. I know we've got Steve, our host of Scavengers Assemble, out in the chat. Red Wolf, Mark's out there. Austin's out there. Jetta Patrol, thanks for stopping by. Mario, a lot of good chat. Matt, out there.
Gary's in there.
Gare Bear. So we love everybody tuning in. It makes doing these podcasts a lot better doing it live because we have that interaction. Chris, when you and I first started doing this about a year and a half ago, the editing process for this thing was enormous. I would spend like 4 hours editing us to make us sound better than we were. And now it's first take. What you see is what you get.
Yeah, and again, we've discussed since we've gone video, I think it makes things a lot easier as far as prompts, who's next and that sort of thing, and we kind of keep the conversation going. And plus, behind the scenes, we have a whole list of notes and everything here. So things flow pretty easy.
Giving away our trade secrets.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. Just kidding.
Transparent.
I missed Noble earlier too. Noble's been he was eagerly waiting for this to go, so just want to give him a quick shout out too. So, all right, TC, we will throw it over to you.
So on the screen, I have one of the acquisitions, Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, the White Wolf. I got him in last week, and I think it's good. We'll review it later, and it's a nice addition to the Infinity War PC. It actually has a story behind it. Okay, so backstory, and this is going to continue over multiple podcasts, but this is part 1. So I have a My UPS Choice account. I believe that's what it's called. It's a account where you can, I believe you can sign for packages, or you can do what I do, and that's reroute packages that you want delivered to a certain location, so at certain access points. So if you're not going to be at your house and you have a package coming that you got to sign for, you instead reroute it automatically to 1 or 2 locations. You can actually put in a backup location just in case the primary location can't hold your package, your delivery for you. So I have that set up, and I've had it for a long time, and that's how I've always gotten my Sideshow packages routed to, or routed. I've gotten them sent via that. Anyway, so this Bucky Barnes figure, for whatever reason, when Sideshow shipped it, it didn't get tagged in my account at all. And so it came to my house instead of the UPS access point. I, of course, am not at my house during the week. I work in an office setting. I don't work at home as much anymore. And it gets, instead of going to my access point location, it goes to the central hub in Atlanta. And I cannot get to that hub in Atlanta on my normal work routine, so I ended up having to call Sideshow, and they worked with me to manually reroute the package to the access point, to which then I had to pay $5 for to get the Bucky Barnes figure. So if you don't go through your access point, you then pay a fee to have it delivered to a store location. So that was the issue with this one, but it's here safe and sound, so I'm happy with that. And there's another part to the story which is actually more comical, but this is setting the groundwork for next week, so stay tuned for that. But the next figure I actually purchased Empire Strikes Back Hoth Leia. So Bryan and Brett Banner, want to give him credit, they posted a link in the group, and it's these figures, I guess, during Spooktacular that Sideshow, I guess, claims they lost inventory for, and they brought them back from the dead. Well, this Hoth Leia figure was one of those figures, and they had it for free shipping. I had a coupon for $25 and $11 in rewards, and the whole thing came out to $183 shipped new from Sideshow to me, and I jumped on that immediately. And I also picked up a Boba Fett from Empire Strikes Back. Interestingly enough, also one of the figures back from the dead, but this was a few weeks prior, and Bryan posted a link, and I jumped on it to get the original Empire Strikes Back Boba, not the deluxe version, for retail. So those are my 3 pickups, and all very interesting. And I especially like the Back from the Dead figures because it just kind of, I don't know, something about getting that deal that just makes it that much better.
Even there's a couple ones. So they brought back today a little bit. Sounds like there was more stock than the rest of these, but the Obi-Wan standard version from Revenge of the Sith, they had that back in stock, and that wasn't. And it was funny because I only noticed that because I had like a coupon that I kept like, I don't really want to use this, but I should use this because I got a lot of rewards and it's $25. And like the first like 26 Star Wars figures kept popping up, and I'm like, all right, nothing new. So I looked earlier and it was at 27, and it's like, okay, which one of these things wasn't here before? And I'm going through and I'm like, Obi-Wan, that's what it's there. So I already had it, but it wasn't something I wanted to do.
They also had the Anakin.
Anakin came back from the dead too. That one went like psh, that was gone faster than that Hoth Leia. So
where's the presents?
Sorry.
Where are the presents, Chris? In the root cellar. Got another guest on the podcast. So that's what happens when you do these things live. No big deal. And I just lost my place on the agenda here.
But yeah,
so.
the Anakin one was shocking. So that's why I'm kind of thinking that I don't think that these. Do you guys think their inventory? I guess do you think they lose inventory, or do you think they're purposely holding some back for this? I think they're purposely holding some back.
They could be, but I don't know. Like if we go back a couple months ago, and we had the chat with, I was able to find that Iron Man Mark 46 for retail at Big Bad Toy Store. Like I really feel like with these huge warehouses that's why people count inventory. They double check to make sure that their computer systems are matching up with computer systems matching up what they actually have for stock. And I'm sure there's, audits and stuff that they have to do on that. And to me, I just think that maybe TC that they found them closer to Spooktacular, but thought the biggest impact would be is like, oh, we can say it's back from the dead and, it's Spooktacular. Maybe they found them like a month ago or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't really feel like they had a ton of them. Like I honestly feel like they had one Hoth Leia, and I want to say you got it.
I'm glad to hear. Well, not that they had one, but that I was able to snag it, because I've been looking for that one for a long time. The thing is, like, at least 5 to 6, 7 times I've gone onto websites looking to purchase the figure, but it's like almost $300. It's high twos. It's almost $300 now.
I mean, you were getting really close to spending that high amount. So, I mean, the fact that you got it for 2/3 of that's a pretty good accomplishment.
Yeah. So yeah, I appreciate that very much. So, and Brett Banner for posting that as well.
Well, it looks like Chris had to drop, and I guess I'll just go through and just kind of give my collection update, because it's actually pretty absurd. But hopefully Chris will be able to get back in here. We'll get him back on the stream. So I've been pretty super active, TC, as you know, and a lot of the discussions based on some of the daily chats that we have, and just really fall in love again with Rogue One. And I've been eyeing my collection for a while. I made some pretty drastic changes. Mark's saying, hopefully Chris finds the presents and he's not in the doghouse right now. I've actually considered parting out with some of my Captain America and Iron Man figures for a while. Just pare them down. Like it's cool to say like, hey, it's good to have like all of them, but I keep going back to the fact that when that Cap from D23 released, and I'm like, there's no way I'll ever own this figure, and I'll never have all the Caps. It allowed myself to be okay with like, okay, let's really figure out what I want my collection to look like. And that's where I really got back into, back into Star Wars a little bit. And then long story short, I went from only having 3 Star Wars figures to now it's 50% of my collection again. So I did some really crazy stuff. So I'll try to go I'll go through the departures and then go with the additions.
Before you start, long story short, all my eBay watch listings are now no longer active.
It's like Obi-Wan feeling like the obliteration of Alderaan. It's like a whole bunch of voices were just suddenly silenced all in one fell swoop. All right, so I mentioned it last time. I sold the deluxe version Boba Fett parts that I had. I originally had gotten the deluxe because I couldn't find the standard like you guys did. I had gotten it the day before on Big Bad Toy Store. So I sold it, and I basically netted myself what the original standard version would have cost. So that worked out for me. And I've really taken a look at some of my Iron Man figures, and I just decided I really love the Phase 1 Iron Man figures like we talked about before, and then basically Phase 3 Civil War to current, and a lot of the middle ones like Iron Man 3. Well, I like the film Age of Ultron. I wasn't a huge fan of some of those armors, and I went through and we got Chris back here. So I went through and looked at some of the armors, and like as we talked about earlier, and I really feel like I need to, and a bunch of people in the chat are talking about it too. Like anytime you part out a figure, and even though it's a figure you never think you're going to sell, like you still might end up selling it. So I ended up getting rid of a lot of the Iron Man figures I have, and I didn't have the bases anymore, which you'd think like the bases weren't that much of a figure, but anytime a figure is not complete, it actually kind of knocks the value down quite a bit. So I've sold my Mark 42 Hot Rod, the Mark 45 from Age of Ultron, and I sold my Mark 42. Actually, that went to Red Wolf, so hopefully he gets that pretty soon on eBay. I currently have my War Machine Mark II also up on eBay there, looking at potentially getting rid of my Armed Patriot. And then I went to Captain America, and this is probably sacrilegious to say because I'm just a huge Captain America fan. But what I did is I tried to set a point where the figures, I felt really good about keeping a select few and then just paring down so I could get some other stuff in my collection, give my collection a little bit more diversity. As cool as it was to say I had a whole DTOF of Captain America, it really, when you have space considerations to think of, it really limits the other stuff that you can really add. So in our private group, the Steve Rogers figure, Rescue Mission Cap, Golden Age Cap, that one I ended up selling to Jeff. That was probably the one figure I was kind of a little sad to see go. Avengers 1 Cap, First Avenger, Cap Star Spangled, and Age of Ultron Cap. So it was just, it was like a midnight massacre. And it seems a little sudden, but I've actually given a lot of thought up until that point. So I just decided to go do it because like Steve, I have a tendency to buy new stuff before I've sold old stuff. And then I kind of have to, that gives me a little personal motivation to go ahead and do that. So that's why I had to do all these things, because TC, as you mentioned, all of your watch listings for Rogue One just kind of went up in smoke. Yeah, so here we go. Rogue One. I really love the trooper. I love everything about Rogue One. I love all the planets. I love all the troopers. I really wish I didn't sell some of the figures I've sold previously, like Chirrut and K2, and those are just kind of unattainable. So the Jedha Patrol Trooper, I was able to get that on 1/6 Republic for a good deal. Got the Jedha Stormtrooper set, the Singular Stormtrooper, and then all 3 Death Troopers. I went very crazy, and a lot of what I just sold and bought actually is going to net me to basically even Steven. So what I ended up doing is basically trading a bunch of the Cap and Iron Man figures that I wouldn't say that they were on the bottom of my collection, but I kind of just, we talk about it often. It's like, use your collection to, basically fund other parts. And I feel like I've got a lot of diversity in my collection now. I have a whole stack of figures that are as high as my desk here, where I still have figures to get displayed for my Star Wars, but I'm actually feeling really, really good about it now. And I'm feeling like Thanos, the strongest wills, whatever that line is. I just butchered the heck out of it, but I feel like I can rest a little bit now. I can rest and just wait for some pre-orders.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
That Rogue One line, I would put the Infinity War line ahead of it personally, but there's an argument to be made that that's the best line Hot Toys has ever done. Just plain and simple. There's not a single bad figure in the line. So, more power to you. Those are some great figures.
I mean, I talked about it with just really loving the movie and the troopers specifically. And for some reason, I just got on a kick. I used to be, I don't know if any of our listeners are into the top Star Wars card trader app, the digital app on mobile. But back when Rogue One was coming out, like I was heavy into that. I was actually getting to the point where I was paying like real money for fake cards, which in hindsight was just a very dumb move. I guess I moved on to spending very real money on Hot Toys. But, going through there, I mean, they had so many different card lines you could collect with the Shore Troopers and the Death Troopers and Jedha and all this stuff. And it's funny because it just brought back a lot of nostalgia, which is still only like 3 years old, where I just really wanted to have that part in my collection there. So that's an update.
Yeah, can't blame you there. Definitely. I mean, getting into the Star Wars figures, it's tough to see a lot of those ones sitting out there at ridiculous prices. and probably unless some screaming deal pops up, I'm probably just gonna have to come over to the Fontaine Museum and view most of those because yeah, I've got I got the Jin from TC, which I love that figure, and then Krennic on the way, and then whatever other figure that they decide to release down the line. That's probably where my Rogue One line is going to sit. Just a duo, but
yeah. So I think I'm gonna end up with 3 shelves of a DTOF with Rogue One. I basically kind of I think what I'll do is I'll have kind of a Scarif shelf with a Shore Trooper, one of the Death Troopers, and 2 of the Stormtroopers. I'll have a Death Trooper shelf and maybe put Jin with that one, and then I want to set up all the Jedha Patrol Troopers. So basically have a Scarif, maybe Edu, and Jedha. I love that movie. It's definitely aged really well, and I've been going through and doing a rewatch with my son recently, getting ready for the Rise of Skywalker. And next up is Rogue One, so really looking forward to that. Watching that again.
I think part of the allure of Rogue One is just the fact that all the heroes, they died, so they kind of turn into like little legendary characters, and then all the supporting characters alongside the movie just get propped up that much more. And then on top of that, Hot Toys came through and delivered a very robust line of figures and just the perfect storm, and it's a home run. I like your setup, Bryan.
Yeah, it's crazy because I think somebody said like Rogue One might have one of the biggest runs of figures, but the funny thing is there's so many other figures that they could make. I mean, you got Bodhi, you got Baze,
Cassian.
I mean, Cassian, what the heck? And we're probably going to get him for the series, but he's not going to be in Rogue One gear and stuff. And then, I mean, you could just start. Vader. Yeah, they made Vader too, and so it's one of those lines that you can have a big display on. I mean, a lot of the Star Wars stuff, you've got pockets from each movie here and there, but to have a major setup is not, Star Wars hasn't, they're not as deep as Marvel is, as far as the figure releases. So
yeah. And Jedha was just piping in saying Galen Erso would be an excellent figure too.
That would be great. I mean, it just keeps Saw Gerrera. Could you imagine that figure in Hot Toys form? Oh my God, the detail and everything.
I just think the problem is I think general fans, although they probably liked Rogue One, I don't think people love Rogue One as much as some of like really diehard Star Wars fans, especially those of us that grew up in the original trilogy, that it was kind of a chance to go back and see it, but see it differently with the different troopers and whatnot and locations. And yeah, I'll stop gushing about Rogue One now.
No, I mean, it's all good. It's all good. I think it's great that you were able to make that transition and not, it's we can talk about it. We always do talk about it. Use your collection to build, your collection and that sort of thing. And that's kind of what I've been doing too. All the moves I've made have basically brought me to even as far as my Star Wars figures. And it's just like you're trading. It's like you're trading baseball cards, but you're it's
trading collection.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, nobody's gonna fault you for moving into Rogue One figures from something else.
Not on this podcast. Not on this podcast.
No.
All right, guys, let's switch over to open mic, and we'll give everybody a chance. There's been so much great chatter in the chat. So I just kind of going back a couple of the things, and let's see if I can remember one that kind of caught my eye. And I know it's something we've talked about kind of maybe semi-jokingly on the Scavengers Assemble before. Here we go. So we'll give Red Wolf a quick shout out. Said, do you guys know if Hot Toys is ever going to make that Winnie the Pooh and Piglet they showed last year? And I don't know. I mean, it sounds kind of silly to say, but I mean, I'm also a Disney fan. My family loves Disney. We try to go as often as we can. It would be great to have. It's like not something I would display with all my other Marvel and Star Wars stuff, but maybe in a family room or something. I don't know. I honestly think if they do make this, I think it's going to be like an Asia exclusive or something.
Well, it's already it's getting made. It's already been up for pre-order.
But not on Sideshow, right? So
Sideshow's not carrying it, which
Okay.
it doesn't make any sense because
No.
Winnie the Pooh.
it's
How are you not selling to the United States of
I
America?
know, right?
Yeah,
It doesn't make any sense, but I think it's gonna come out at the end of this year, the beginning of next year. I think that's when it's supposed to.
And to kind of open that up, I mean, I hope it gets made because it's another option for collectors that might not be into Hot Toys to start delving into it. And then, I mean, obviously they have the Cause Babies and all that stuff. They have that side of things, but I'm surprised that they haven't. Prue could take over Vader. Nice, Joda. But I'm just surprised that they haven't had more Disney character releases. You know, you had Belle, Maleficent. I mean, Maleficent's got a new movie. It would have been perfect to do a revision of that character.
Jack Sparrow.
And the Pirates line there. I mean, gosh,
You think there would be more? You would think so.
I mean, and with all these live action Disney movies coming out, I mean, who wouldn't want a Will Smith genie? I mean, come on. Anyway,
I don't know. I wonder if I know the Jack Sparrow figure is starting to go up in value. I was looking around on eBay and it's starting to trend up, but I don't know if Disney. I don't know if the Disney collecting, just general Disney collectors, are as aware of Hot Toys. It's still kind of niche.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and a lot of the time, I'm not comparing, but like Disney will. I mean, Disney and Mattel will do like high end collectible, Barbie versions of these figures and stuff like that. So I think maybe a lot of those collectors get that that high end feel at a lower price point in that scale. So maybe jumping up to a Hot Toys that's going to be significantly more money is not. They're just looking at things differently. So, but yeah, no, that's a good thing to bring up.
In the spirit of Halloween, Country Club is saying anybody planning to dress up their figures for Halloween. I know Chris in our Facebook group had his Deadpool ready to go trick or treating, and yeah, he says just easy, just swap the head sculpts.
Totally. I was hoping to get my Toys Era Talos Skrull set today. I wanted to set up my my Nick Fury figure. I was really hoping it was going to show up today, but yeah, Mario.
Mario's asking where's the new Joker figure. So I have not seen it. I'm just not necessarily the biggest DC fan. It's not that we hate DC. It's just I don't really know much about it, so I'm not going to pretend like I know anything. And I know obviously a lot of people have liked this movie. Chris, there's no less than maybe like 33 companies that have done a third party of this figure so far. So, I mean, maybe Hot Toys, I don't know. Maybe Hot Toys says they're not making it. That's why everybody kind of greenlit this thing. But I'll keep my thoughts aside for what I really think about third party figures that are unlicensed. But I don't know.
We could see it, but other than that, Hot Toys, I think they like shared the trailer or something like that. I don't think they showed any tease of a figure. I don't remember that. Did they?
No.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything. I don't know if they care. To be honest, right now with all this other stuff going on.
I kind of feel like yes, it's made of a lot of money worldwide and that sort of thing, but so did Venom, and Hot Toys didn't even give Venom a shot. So we'll see. Hey, I mean, Gary, look, Joker. I'm kind of in the same boat with Bryan. I'm a comic book fan and stuff, but DC just has not. They've lost my trust, and I'm not going to the theater to go see the movie to see Joker. I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. I've had a lot of people say that they loved it. I've had a lot of people say, friends and family of mine that said that it was like, it's. But I'm glad that you really like it, and I'm glad that a lot of people really like it. Hopefully, they get the figure sport.
So we'll go with one more before we go to our grab bag here, and Link the Jedi is saying, surprised they haven't announced any of the other Rise of Skywalker figures before the movie other than Sith Trooper. I think if you go back to The Last Jedi, I want to say it was around this time frame that we got like the, Kylo Ren, the Praetorian Guards. It was really almost literally days before the movie that we started getting, the Luke exile, some of the other ones. I think it's just more to avoid any kind of spoilers for even accessories and stuff. I mean, not that they're going to be huge spoilers, but I don't know. So I'm not like necessarily surprised that we haven't seen any announcement. I don't think it means that they're not going to make any figures, because of course they're going to make figures. Somebody in the chat earlier was looking for when are we going to get an updated Rey? Well, I think the next Rey we get is going to be in her kind of white outfit from Rise of Skywalker. I'm sure we're going to get another Kylo. I would love for us to finally get a Poe. We're probably going to we might get a Finn. I don't know. I'm sure we're going to get another Leia. They're going to probably want to have one more chance to make another Leia figure. I don't know. I'm reserving judgment. I definitely, and I think I said it on an earlier podcast, regardless of anything, I think with Star Wars now, I want to at least see the film before I buy any figures or do any pre-orders. I know Steve's made a point about that before with like Exile Luke, and just depending on, we all have this head canon of what we think the films are going to do and where they're going to be. And if they don't go that, I think it's just be prudent just to kind of see like, okay, they're going to wrap a bow on the Skywalker saga before they start making other Star Wars movies. Why not wait and see what the film is before you go out and pre-order anything? I mean, to each their own. If you want to go out and get excited and caught up in the hype and stuff like that, more power to you. I'm not going to say that that's a bad idea. I'm just saying personally, I'm going to wait and see. And then unless it's like a Toy Fair exclusive or something that I need to get and do a pre-order, if not, I'm just going to wait and see the film first.
Yeah, I'm so done with pre-ordering things. Unless the figures, being released in the next month.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's, again, transitioning, collecting style and stuff. I'm leaning more towards that. Figures that are either have been released or are close to release. But as far as Rise of Skywalker, all those figures have great potential of being made. We could see potentially a new, another go at Chewie. There's C-3PO,
another R2,
yep.
Kylo. There's a lot of options. We didn't get any Endgame figures, this far in advance. So I don't think I think the earliest one we got was Thanos, right? And wasn't that just like maybe like a few weeks before the release?
Yeah. And also take this into account that Hasbro and Lucasfilm has said that only about 30% of product for Rise of Skywalker is going to be released before the movie comes out. So even on that, on a different level, they're really holding back. They're really holding back. Another figure that I think would be awesome would be Zori Bliss. I think, I've talked about that before. Great looking character. It's just, how much is she going to be in the movie? What kind of role? So I think after the movie and then obviously depending on the success of it, we might get 3, 4, 5, 6 figures, or as much as 10, 12 figures. Who knows?
Yeah, what was it for The Last Jedi? What was it, like 5? Or was it even that many? Is it
No, there was
Luke,
I mean,
Leia,
2 Lukes,
Luke again, Rey, Kylo.
Praetorian
There's
Guards.
two
Okay,
Praetorian
okay.
Guards, the
Yeah.
Executioner Trooper.
Okay.
So I mean, look
Decent,
at 6,
decent
7,
amount.
8.
Yeah. We're kind of running long. I think TC will save your topic for another time. I think that was good. Sometimes it's just fun, just kind of not even pre-planning what we're talking about, or even saying we're going to talk about news in particular. Sometimes just seeing where the conversation goes, and we'll definitely do this, again at some time. Maybe I don't necessarily once a month or anything, but it's fun to talk about.
Oh
hot
yeah.
It's good
toys.
to interact. I like it.
Yeah, get all the chat going. They're dropping all kinds of where's this and where's that and that sort of thing. It's fun to talk about.
All right, so let's talk about our feature figure review. Hot Toys Bucky Barnes from Avengers Infinity War MMS 509. Original retail price $243. This one was up for pre-order October 12th, 2018, and it had a release date of October 6th, 2019 in Hong Kong, so barely a week shy of a year. This one had a long lead time. It had a lot of delays. I think a lot of it was just going back and reworking the head sculpt, and maybe potentially trying to figure out how they were going to do the detachable arm. So, guys, we all have this in hand. Unfortunately, I forgot to grab mine. It's actually sitting in my DTOF right across from me, but I literally just unboxed this the other night, so I definitely would have the chance. TC, you've got it right there. Chris is showing his off in front of his webcam right now. So let's just get into it. TC, lead us off.
Yeah, it's a good figure. It's a solid figure. It's not really flashy. The head sculpt's really, really good. It's the hair is painted nicely. Doesn't look like the hair's a Black Panther situation where the prototype was much different than the release figure. The material of the jacket and the pants, it's gonna last a long time. This is not a figure that's gonna have problems with deterioration. Everything's soft goods and cloth. One of the negatives I would say of the figure is I don't like the vibranium arm. I know this was never said to be a die-cast feature, but I feel it should be. I don't know. I just it would add to the authenticity of it. I think the weaponry's done really well. I think it has limited posability because the vibranium arm, it can move around in its socket, but the other side with the jacket doesn't really give much opportunity to kind of move that arm around and kind of pose it in ways that you'd like to. But overall, I think it's a solid figure. I don't know. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, no, I mean, all good points. I just I think this figure is more the minimal, the minimal aspects of it are just the detail put into all the different layers and padding and straps and little connector pieces and stuff on his pants and his jacket. I mean, he's just got these, just fine, minute details in his outfit. And again, like you said, dark colors. It's not flashy, but the care that the designers put into getting the suit tailored perfectly, fitting on the figure perfectly, even down to the boots. If I can get this, he's got the coverings on his boots and everything. I just think it looks like a very cool military inspired figure. And you said that the rifle, I had some buddies, I sent pictures to them that aren't weapons experts and stuff, and they could not believe the detail in this in the 6 scale. Some of it is a little embellished for cinema, but this is a real rifle and would lay some serious damage. But yeah, I mean, the head sculpt again nailed the likeness of Sebastian Stan, and I'm really happy with this figure. This figure was a day one pre-order, a Dopo, and obviously been waiting some time for it. But yeah, really, really happy with the figure. And I think your point about the potentially having a die-cast arm, I mean, that would have put it over the top for sure. I have a very visible seam down the I don't think I can pick it up on the camera, but definitely a very visible seam on my arm right down the middle. So that's kind of a bummer. If you look at it from the left side, it doesn't really show up.
Mine has that too.
Yeah, mine's across the room right now, but so I agree. I think it's very solid. I needed a Bucky in my collection, so I was also definitely going to get this. It looks great with Infinity War cap. It looks great with Infinity War Black Widow, and it looks great. I have Civil War Falcon with that. That's that one shelf now. Agree with you guys on the head sculpt. It's one of the best ones they've done of the year. I'm glad the hair is sculpted. Agree with that saw rifle, as we've got Derek on the screen here. Yeah. I would just caution everybody. I think I'm looking at the photo on the screen. I had a little piece that broke off and I was grabbing it. I'm like, I don't have any earthly idea where this came. I think it actually came off from the scope. So you can attach the scope on the top, but there's a little knob that I think I accidentally broke off. You can actually fold out you make it so the rifle's on a tripod. Not that you're going to have Bucky in the prone sniper position, but you could. The gun, actually the magazine, you can put that in as well. I'm going to echo the concerns, you guys. I don't have so much. There is a gap that's pretty pronounced on obviously that, the left arm there, the mechanical arm, the vibranium arm. Depending on where you pose it, it can have a pretty pronounced gap in the armpit area. But if you move it around, you can hide it pretty well. The issue I have is like you guys with the way that the plastic was molded. Not saying it's very malleable, but the material that they made the hands out of, that's where I've got I have my figure holding the gun in the left hand. So basically the plastic arm is holding the gun. The hand with the left trigger finger hand, the finger is so bendable. It's like some of the Iron Man rubber hands. I don't think you're going to have to worry about any fading color with these because of the color, but the trigger finger is like bent in a weird position. And I'm trying to like bend it back so that it looks more common, but it's kind of like up at an angle. You can't really notice it and I have him kind of with his rifle kind of pointed down. I mean, not enough to hate on the figure, but it also kind of prevents me from kind of giving this thing really, really top marks. And we'll talk about how we're going to actually rate the figure. But overall, Chris, I have to echo everything you said. I love the tailoring on everything but that arm. And obviously the rifle, like you said, is one of the most detailed 1.6 rifles that I've ever seen. And I don't know. I just think overall, I'm just, if I got a Bucky, I'm glad it's this one. I know that the Winter Soldier, Captain America Winter Soldier figure is still going for a heavy premium, and that figure has some leather flaking issues. I know that the Civil War figure is still in demand. I can't compare the two because I've never seen the Civil War figure in hand, so I don't know, is that one better than this one or vice versa. All I know is I was able to pay retail for this one, and I've got a Bucky in my collection now.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Brian. And this one's gonna last you a long time anyway. Like I said earlier, the material is all cloth, pretty much. So it's just it's a durable figure, and like I don't want to fault Hot Toys for doing what they should. So this is not going to be an Iron Man. This is not going to be a wow. It's not going to wow you like an Iron Man figure is. But I'm not going to fault Hot Toys for that, which they can't control. But what they did was they tailored it amazingly well. The main issue I have besides the arm is this foam in between the cheek and then, like, the hair.
Yeah.
I can see. I don't know if you can see it on yours, but I can see it if I'm just sitting and looking at it. Unless I'm far away, then it's kind of tough to see. But it's definitely in between the hair and the face, and I can see it in the crevice between where the hair meets the cheekbone. And to me, that's, I don't know. That's just, I guess it's there for protection of some kind. I'm not sure.
I haven't removed the head or anything.
Maybe I just have to do
going
that.
on there.
Maybe I just take off the head sculpt and remove it. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I'd be interested to see if any of our listeners have maybe taken really small, tweezers and try to taking that out. I'm a little nervous too. I agree with you, TC. Like on a certain angle, you can see that it's there, but if you're not looking for it, I don't trust myself not to damage the figure.
Yeah.
I'm ultra conservative when it comes to my hot toy collecting. I just don't know if I would have the gumption to go ahead and do that. I think overall, guys, I think we've pretty much covered it. I don't think there's really much else that we can say. I mean, I think we've all kind of shared both some things that are good and bad with the figure. Although we didn't talk about the snap arm. In concept, I like it. I would never display it. I already have it boxed up. I'm not going to use it. I think it's great for photography if you want to break it out and take a photo with that. But to me, that would be the one figure on my shelf that would be in the process of being snapped. And I just, I don't know. I give them credit for trying something innovative, but I don't like it.
So I had forgotten that was like going to be an option for this figure. And like when it got released, people were showing the box, in the tray opened up, and I'm like, why does Bucky come with like a Groot, extension or arm or something? And I'm like trying to think, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's that's what it is. But in concept, or it's cool, but unnecessary, honestly. Other than to take a one pick of, but yeah, he's Bucky, Matt said, who gives a bleep on the assemble or whatever it was, but it's a complimentary figure. I mean, there's not too many people that are going to be like, Bucky Barnes is my only Hot Toys figure. He's not that kind of figure. He's to round out the Infinity War line, and I don't have him set up, but I'd be interested to see like how Steve has his set up and other people's collections, how they have Bucky in there. And again, this version of Bucky is not super versatile as far as like what else he can go in, and it's very possible we might get another figure from the Falcon and Winter Soldier series in a year or two. But I'm happy. I'm happy to have a Bucky. I'm glad I waited for
We didn't talk about the dagger. The dagger is pretty cool.
Yeah, I know, right in his little sheath on the side of his leg there. It's pretty dang sharp. Don't really mess around with that thing.
Yeah, even in the booklet, it's like, shows you don't try to puncture your skin with this. So.
Don't try to.
Yeah, don't even try this. So, all right, TC, I'm going to have you kick off the reviews. Obviously, we're going to go on a scale of 1 to 5. We'll go with. He didn't really come with too many cool accessories, but I guess we'll go with. I was just trying to see how they described the snap arm. in the accessory list here. Of course, it wasn't because that this was based off the prototype, and that was added afterwards. So,
How about saw clips or
okay,
saw magazines, I should say.
let's go with
Magazine
saw
clips.
rifles.
Yeah.
Assault rifles. Okay. I would give it a 4.5. I'm not gonna hammer the figure just because it's simple, just because there's not much to it. It's executed really well. There are some flaws. It's not perfect, but for what it is, it's a perfect complement to an Infinity War collection, a Wakanda, from the Wakanda portion of the movie. Head sculpt's amazing, and the details on the rifle are really really good, and the tailoring, like Chris said, Hot Toys, they're not going to disappoint there. So it's a 4.5 for me.
Chris,
4.5 to be specific.
Yeah, I gotta echo. I gotta echo TC's rating. 4.5 for me. There's a little bit of a room for improvement as far as execution on that vibranium arm, and a few other things here or there. But I mean, I can't ask much more from Hot Toys for this figure, honestly. So 4.5 for me. How about you?
I'll make it a clean sweep. That was going to be my rating as well as 4.5. I think my only gripe is the other arm, and again, the only gripe I've got with the figure I have in particular is the bendability of the overbendability of the left trigger finger on that. So, but it doesn't hinder displaying it. And again, I'll echo it, probably like the 10th time I've said it, but glad to have Bucky, in my collection. All right, guys, we are running kind of long, so let's talk about our plug time. So obviously, you are either listening to us in audio form or watching us on YouTube. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for everybody that tuned in live. I think it makes for a much better conversation and the interaction there. So we certainly appreciate that. Make sure you check out our website, sixscalescavengers.com, where we post all of our shows and articles and news. Also, we have our checklist there for Marvel, Star Wars Hot Toys, also Asmus, Lord of the Rings, and the Hobbit figures. We've got our TeePublic store. Our store is Six Scale Scavengers. T-shirt sales go towards a small portion of that goes us to help out with our hosting fees on Libsyn. We've got our Facebook page. You can like us there. We're on Instagram, Six Scale Scavengers. Apple Podcasts, Google Play, YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, and sixoscavengers.libsyn.com.
I'll add one more thing. We still have 6 scale t-shirts available. So if you want any, you can shoot me a message or search for the post on our Facebook group. So we still have a few available. And once those are sold out, we'll go for batch 3 with a bunch of different colors and stuff like that. So look for that. You can represent 6 scale scavengers on your 6 scale figure.
And if you're listening to our show, you should also listen to Collecting Weekly. It's a podcast that's headed up by Zach and Dean. They also have other shows called Small Talk and then with Damian Dillon, and Only Fools in Collecting with Ian and Pete. And they also have a Facebook group called Collecting Weekly Auxiliary. It's a great bunch of guys. They're based in Texas, and they talk all things figures and more.
Absolutely. And then I'll do another special shout out. There's a new podcast from one of our earliest supporters. He jumped right on our podcast early last year, and he goes by CTG Collector, Casanova the Ghetto Jr. And the podcast is called Fig Heads, and it's on Apple Podcasts. He's joined by co-hosts Toy Dundada and Tommy De Niro, and they talk all things action figures as well. Marvel Legends, Mezco, a lot of Mezco talk, and Hot Toys, 6 scale, 1/12 scale, all kinds of stuff. So give them some support and follow them on Instagram at Figheads. They've got 1 episode so far, and really enjoying the direction that they're going to go in. So check them out.
All right, good stuff, guys. We love sharing other stuff, other people doing great stuff out in the collecting community as well. So, all right, guys, before we end the broadcast here, any other final thoughts?
It was a fun episode. Look forward to the next one.
Yeah, we'll just make sure to get everything lined up in time, Bryan.
Yeah, I could have started my computer, and my computer's so old. It's surprising that it's still handles these streams and all the podcasts and all that other stuff. But anyways,
no, just totally messing.
I'll have to just borrow I'll borrow your hamster wheel.
Yeah, I know it's churning as we speak. And then thanks to all the people watching live and joining in on the chat. Got very active chat this time around. It means a lot to us that you guys are willing to spend your time joining in on the conversation, and it's much appreciated.
Yeah. So if you do us a favor, hit like on the podcast on this episode on YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out our other content: Scavengers Assemble and Rogue One Sixth. A lot of other great stuff that we're doing. So I think that puts a wrap on episode 33. So Chris, bring us home, my friend.
Excelsior.